MC Hammer.
Can't touch this. Yeah, that's how we living, and you know, can't touch this.
Crime. Why don't you think you went that way?
I would say that anybody who grew up on my block had to be tempted.
Hey folks, have you heard the latest buzz? MC Hammer just dropped a shocking bombshell aimed straight at Diddy. And let me tell you, it's got everyone talking. Picture this. Imagine the juiciest gossip you've ever heard, then multiply it by 10. Word on the street is that MC Hammer isn't holding back. He's sending a bone-chilling warning right to Diddy's doorstep. This isn't your average celebrity feud. This is where things get real. So grab your popcorn and buckle up, because we're about to dive into a scandal that's got tongues wagging and hearts racing. MC Hammer, known for his catchy tunes and flashy dance moves, had a past that wasn't all glitter and glam. Back in the day, he was considered one of the realest gangsters in the music industry. But what's the story behind this unexpected reputation, and how does it connect to his beef with Diddy? Let's rewind a bit. MC Hammer wasn't always dancing in parachute pants. He came from the streets, where survival meant getting tough. Rumor has it that Hammer had a thug past, running with crews and making his mark in the rough world of gangs. But even as he rose to fame, some say he never forgot where he came from. Despite his success, Hammer didn't shy away from calling out the shady side of the industry. He saw how artists were being used and abused, especially by big names like Diddy. Word on the street was that Diddy was destroying the industry, exploiting rappers for his gain. MC Hammer, the once gangster-turned-rapper, wasn't about to let that slide. He wasn't afraid to speak his mind and stand up for what he believed in. And when he saw Diddy's antics, he decided enough was enough. Hammer wasn't just all talk. He made moves that sent shivers down the spines of those around him. Even heavyweight figures like Suge Knight and Tupac felt the heat when Hammer stepped onto the scene. He wasn't someone you messed with lightly.
Grew up in Oakland, one of 8 kids, in a neighborhood that somebody just described to me that now looks like the streets of Beirut.
So, when rumors started swirling about Hammer and Diddy's case, it didn't come as a surprise to many. Hammer had a reputation for keeping it real, and if that meant calling out industry big shots, so be it. He wasn't going to let anyone walk all over his fellow rappers, not on his watch. But why did Hammer target Diddy specifically? Well, it's no secret that Diddy had a reputation for playing dirty. Some whispered about the shady deals and backstabbing tactics he used to climb the ladder of success. And Hammer, well, he wasn't going to sit back and watch it happen. MC Hammer, known for his hit songs and flashy dance moves, might surprise you. Many don't know that he had a reputation as a feared gangster back in the day. People say he was even scarier than Suge Knight. But why? What's his story? Let's find out.
So we thought, oh, we'll go with the church boy. We'll go with MC Hammer, but he was the most gangster one of all of them.
I heard about it.
MC Hammer, whose real name is Stanley Kirk Burrell, grew up in a tough neighborhood in East Oakland, California. He had a rough childhood with many siblings and faced the everyday struggles of a place filled with and crime. His parents split when he was only 5 years old, leaving his mother to raise the family alone. When people asked Hammer how he stayed away from trouble, he always said it was because he loved his mom too much to disappoint her.
This is the home that made me work hard to want to be more than just a nobody in life, or be more than just another or something like that.
It's very, very tough to live in that type of an environment and survive.
As a kid, Hammer found ways to make some money. He hustled tickets from Oakland A's baseball players and resold them. His older brothers worked for the team, so he knew the sports scene well. Hammer also entertained people with dance shows in the parking lot using his trusty radio. He loved dancing and entertaining even back then. Here's where it gets interesting. One day, the team's owner, Charles Finley, saw Hammer's talent. He gave Hammer a job as a clubhouse assistant when he was just 9 years old. Hammer worked hard and impressed everyone, eventually becoming a vice president in the organization while still a teenager. Hammer got his nickname from Reggie Jackson, an outfielder for the Oakland A's. Jackson thought Hammer looked like another famous player, Hank Aaron, who was called the Hammer.
I got my nickname, the Hammer, because of my resemblance when I was very small to Hank Aaron, the Big Hammer. So everyone was calling me the Little Hammer, the guys on the Oakland A's when I was the bat boy for the Oakland A's, and I kept the name.
After high school, Hammer went to college but didn't like it much, so he joined the Navy. While in the military, Hammer and his roommate made music demos in their barracks. After serving for a few years, Hammer left the Navy Navy with an honorable discharge and joined a gospel hip-hop group called the Holy Ghost Boys. After leaving the Navy, MC Hammer's passion for music and religion came alive again. Before becoming famous, he formed a Christian rap group called the Holy Ghost Boys with singer and musician John Gibson. They performed at various venues, including the Beverly Theater in Beverly Hills. But the group didn't last long and broke up after releasing a few songs. Determined to chase his dream, Hammer decided to take control of his destiny. Here's where it gets interesting. He asked two top Oakland players, Dwayne Murphy and Mike Davis, for a $20,000 loan to start his own record label. Surprisingly, they agreed, and in 1986, MC Hammer founded Busted Records. Hammer hit the streets, recruiting rappers, DJs, and dancers. Some of the talent he found included DJ Kent Lone Mixer Wilson, his hype man Kevin Big MC Wilson, and background dancers Sweet LD, Terrible T, and Lil P, who were called Oakland 357. Hammer was a tough and focused leader, pushing everyone through long rehearsals. He brought the discipline he learned in the Navy to his team, making sure they were always on point. Hammer once said, "We have to stay disciplined to reach our goals. I feel like a strict dad on tour because I never want to call someone's parents with bad news." That same year, 1986, Hammer recorded his first single, Ring 'Em, with Felton Pilot, the frontman of the recently disbanded Con-Funk Shun. They recorded his first full-length album in Pilot's basement studio, and the rest, as they say, is history. In August 1986, MC Hammer's debut album, Feel My Power, was released by his own record label, Busted Records. This was a big deal for Hammer and his wife, Stephanie, who worked very hard to get the album noticed. They pushed it to local DJs and sold singles out of the trunk of their car. Their hard work paid off, especially with the single Ring 'Em, which became a hit in dance clubs around the San Francisco Bay Area. Thanks to their tireless street marketing, they managed to sell an impressive 60,000 copies of the album. Here's where it gets interesting. Major record labels started to notice Hammer's success. Soon enough, Capitol Records came knocking on his door. This was a huge opportunity for Hammer. Fab Five Freddy from Yo MTV Raps even featured Hammer, asking him how he got started. Hammer explained that he was from Oakland, also known as Oaktown. He made demo tapes and showed them to record companies. Though they liked his tapes, they didn't have enough money to support him. Some of Hammer's friends from the Oakland A's baseball team, Mike Davis and Dwayne Murphy, invested money in him. With their help, Hammer started his own label, and it worked out well. Capitol Records eventually signed him, and that's when things really started to take off. In 1988, Hammer signed a multi-album deal with Capitol Records for a staggering $10 million. He received an advance of $1.75 million and invested $750,000 back into Busted Records. He reissued Feel My Power with additional tracks, selling over 2 million copies. Hammer then released Let's Get It Started on September 28, 1988, featuring hit singles like Pump It Up, Turn This Mother Out, and They Put Me in the Mix. These songs all landed on the charts. Now, here's where it gets juicy. 2 years later, in 1990, Hammer released the album Please Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em, which included the mega-hit single You Can't Touch This. The success of this album was phenomenal, catapulting Hammer to legendary status. Please Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em sold an unbelievable 22 million copies. It's hard to overstate how big this made Hammer in the music world. He went from selling records out of his car to becoming a global superstar. MC Hammer was everywhere in the late 80s and early 90s. You couldn't turn on the TV without seeing him in music videos, commercials, movies, and even cartoons. Hammer was a huge star, known for his catchy songs and energetic dance moves. His album, Please Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em, was a massive hit and marked the start of his rise to hip-hop fame. With hits like You Can't Touch This, he became a household name. Everywhere you looked, Hammer was there. He was famous not just for his music, but also for his flashy outfits and signature parachute pants. He even insured his legs for $10 million, showing how much he valued his dance moves. Hammer kept releasing albums that people loved, and it seemed like he was on top of the world. However, here is where it gets interesting. Despite his success, Hammer faced a lot of criticism. Some people in the media and the music industry didn't think he was a real rapper. They saw him as an entertainer, not an artist. Hammer himself said he didn't just rap, he entertained. This made some hardcore hip-hop fans and artists question his authenticity. Hammer's clean-cut image and choreographed dances made him look different from the typical tough guy rappers of the time. He wore colorful outfits and danced around with a big smile, which didn't fit the rough-and-tumble image of many other rappers. This made some people see him as soft and easy to diss. While Hammer was dancing on stage, he had a tough side that many people didn't know about. Hammer and his family had deep connections in Oakland, where they were linked to Felix Mitchell, a notorious lord. Mitchell led the 69 Mob, a criminal organization that made millions from selling drugs. Hammer grew up in the area controlled by Mitchell, and his family was surrounded by gangsters. When some rappers decided to diss Hammer, they didn't realize he had strong ties to powerful street figures in Oakland. Rumor has it that despite his fun-loving image, Hammer was no pushover. He made sure people knew not to mess with him, using his connections to protect his reputation. At the peak of his career, Hammer was said to be making over $1 million a month, but fame and fortune didn't last forever. As quickly as he rose to stardom, his popularity began to decline. Critics and financial troubles started to overshadow his success. But even though his time at the top was brief, MC Hammer remains a memorable figure in the world of hip-hop, and he didn't take any S from anyone who he felt disrespected by. Back in 1987, MC Hammer mentioned LL Cool J in his song Let's Get It Started. 3 years later, in 1990, LL Cool J responded with a diss track called To the Break of Dawn. This song took shots at Kool Moe Dee, MC Hammer, and Ice-T. In the second verse, LL Cool J rapped some harsh lines aimed at MC Hammer, calling him an amateur and making fun of his hairstyle. When MC Hammer heard LL Cool J's remarks, he didn't take them lightly. Rumor has it that Hammer sent some of his crew to confront LL Cool J after one of his shows. An argument broke out, and it's said that LL Cool J got punched in the face. However, not long after, Hammer and LL Cool J met up, talked things out, and resolved their issues. They managed to get back on good terms. While the beef between LL Cool J and MC Hammer settled down quickly, things got really juicy with another rapper. Third Bass, a rap group, got involved because they didn't like how MC Hammer dissed Run DMC, who had paved the way for many rappers. In their song, The Cactus, Third Bass dissed MC Hammer by saying, "The cactus turned Hammer's mother out." This was a play on words with Hammer's album title, Turn This Mother Out. But Hammer didn't see it as a joke. He took it as a serious insult to his mother. Things got even more intense when Third Bass traveled to Los Angeles to promote their album. Rumor has it that MC Hammer's brother called Def Jam's CEO, Russell Simmons, that Third Bass would die as soon as they arrived in LA. Allegedly, there was a $50,000 bounty on their heads, and the Rolling 60s Crips gang was hired to carry out the hit. MC Search from Third Bass confirmed that he was a special target. He heard from Eric B., another rapper, that the hit was real. When Russell Simmons asked how to stop it, Eric B. supposedly said to let it happen and hung up the phone. In the end, they managed to avoid any harm, but it showed just how serious and dangerous rap beefs could get back in the day. These feuds between rappers like MC Hammer, LL Cool J, and Third Bass weren't just about music. They often involved real-life confrontations and threats. It was a wild time in hip-hop history, full of drama and intense rivalries. When it comes to the wild world of hip-hop, things can get real dicey real quick. Take MC Hammer and Ice Cube, for instance. Back in the day, these two heavyweights weren't exactly on each other's Christmas card list. It all started with a music video. Cube dropped one where he kinda sorta dissed Hammer, hinting he'd sold out. Not the kind of thing you say to a guy like Hammer without expecting some serious backlash. So, what does Hammer do? He hears Cube's hanging out at some Hollywood joint, and he's not about to let this slide. He rounds up his crew and storms the place like he's on a mission. And guess what? He finds Cube just as he's making his exit. Talk about perfect timing. Hammer's not one to beat around the bush. He straight up asks Cube about the video. Cube's probably sweating bullets at this point, but he keeps his cool. He promises it won't happen again. Crisis averted, right? Well, not quite. See, in the rap game, once beef starts cooking, it's hard to put out the flames. Hammer might have backed down this time, but that doesn't mean he's letting bygones be bygones. And Cube? He's probably watching his back for the foreseeable future. but that's just one chapter in the saga of hip-hop feuds. Let's rewind a bit and talk about MC Search. Dude's out signing autographs at a mall when some trouble comes knocking. Lucky for him, his buddy Pookie steps in like a hero straight out of the movies. But instead of counting his blessings, Search decides to turn up the heat, calling out MC Hammer on live radio. Next thing you know, threats are flying left and right, and Search and his crew are running for their lives. It's like something straight out of a gangster flick. But hey, that's the rap game for you. One minute you're on top of the world, the next you're dodging bullets. And then there's a legendary tale about a clash between MC Hammer and Redman. It's like a showdown in the Wild West, only with rhymes and beats instead of slingers. Back in 1992, Redman, the rap artist, released his album, What the Album. But the real drama unfolded in the intro track called Funky Uncles. There, you can hear two folks chatting about MC Hammer. One person is all praises for him, while the other is like, what's the big deal? Things get spicy when the doubter says, he ain't nobody, and even throws in a sassy, your mama ain't your daddy ain't nobody. But hold on to your hats, because the story doesn't end there. When MC Hammer caught wind of these words, he wasn't about to let it slide. Nope, not one bit. He made sure to show up when Redman was in town. And let me tell you, when he confronted Redman, it wasn't just for a friendly chat. Nah, it was serious business. MC Hammer laid it straight. Don't talk about my mama. And you better believe Redman got the message loud and clear. But here's where things get really interesting. This ain't just about a rap feud. It's about looking beyond the surface. See, a lot of folks laugh at MC Hammer for his money troubles, but what they don't see is his big heart. Even when he was on top of the world, he never forgot his people. He put food on their tables, paid them hefty salaries, and even hired his own family to work with him. MC Hammer's story is a mix of hard work, talent, and a bit of mystery. He went from a tough childhood to a successful music career, all while keeping people guessing about his true nature. Whether he was a feared gangster or just a talented artist who knew how to handle himself, MC Hammer remains an intriguing figure in the world of music. So, the next time you hear MC Hammer's name, remember this. He may have started from the bottom, but he rose to the top with a fierce determination. And when it came to defending his fellow rappers, he wasn't afraid to throw down with the best of them. That's the real story behind the man who went from thug past to industry defender.